Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Tom Goyne, Chief Audiology Officer at Aberdeen Audiology. As you may know or recall, we have offices in Wayne, Malvern, and Westchester, Pennsylvania. And what I wanted to do with this video was take some time to share with all of you some results that we've been having with patients over the course of the last several months using two different types of technology. And, I think when you use them in combination, it's a great 1-2 punch for folks. So first is hearing aid technology. Over the course of the last several months, we've had some great improvements in terms of noise processing. While there is no active artificial intelligence in the hearing aids themselves, their programming, their algorithms are all based off of artificial intelligence that was used to create them. So no active AI in there. To my knowledge, there's no hearing aids that actually have active AI in them, but there's many now that are starting to incorporate AI in terms of creating the programming and the processing that goes on inside the hearing aids. And so we had one patient recently that I wanted to highlight, but frankly, we're seeing improvement with all sorts of patients, not just this one person. We've seen tremendous improvement with a lot of folks. So as you can see from this chart here, we measure something called signal to noise ratio loss. And that's something that audiologists, it's a test that we use to help people make clinical decisions. And signal to noise ratio loss is basically quantifying the difficulty that someone has in terms of understanding speech in noise. In other words, if there's speech here and there's noise here, how much separation does there need to be for someone to perform well? And so, as you can see from the chart here, this particular patient, without any hearing aids whatsoever, he had a 7.5 decibel signal to noise ratio loss. And this is somewhat similar to golf. I'm always happy to bring in a golf analogy, but this is somewhat similar to golf, where the smaller or the lower the number, the better. And so he was at a 7.5 dB SNR loss, which is sort of, in the moderate / severe range of that. We see that a lot in our offices. This happens a lot. And so he had hearing aids that were several years old from another practice. And using those hearing aids, we measured his signal to noise ratio loss to come down to 6.5. So an improvement, fairly incremental, nothing to get too excited about, nice to have, but not something that's going to change anyone's life. And then we programmed him, we programmed hearing aids for him to try using the latest technology that we have, repeated the same test, and jaw-droppingly, his signal to noise ratio loss came down to minus 0.5, so below zero. So in other words, he was performing ever so slightly better than normal in competing noise using these hearing aids. Now, I do not believe that if someone takes these hearing aids into the real world, they're going to perform better than normal. But I do think what this does show is it illustrates that we're seeing at least a 7 or 8 decibel improvement in terms of signal to noise ratio loss. And let me tell you, that is dramatic. I've been in this profession a little while, folks. I have never seen improvements such as this. This is really quite dramatic. We're usually happy if we can help somebody 1 or 2 or 3 decibels in terms of signal to noise ratio loss. To help somebody on the order of about 8 decibels is just simply dramatic. So, and this is just one patient. And so we're really a believer in this technology. Sometimes you have to cut through the marketing hype, but this is really working. This is really working for folks. So improved hearing aid technology is one area. And that's at the ear level, right? At the ear level. But then there's also some things we can do at the level of the brain. And so what's not new, there's been research studies around for a long time now that tell us that the older the brain, the poorer its performance is in terms of speech understanding in noise. So in other words, even when you control for hearing loss and remove hearing loss as a factor, young brains in their 20s are going to perform better in noise than brains over the age of 70 or even 60 for that matter. It's just how it works. So whether the people have hearing loss or normal hearing, match them up. Either way, the younger brains perform better in noise than the older brains. And this is not new. We've had these research studies around for a very long time. And there's always been some things we could do to help with that. There's always been some auditory training. It's been really difficult and really time consuming to apply. It's been beneficial, but it's been kind of time consuming and difficult to scale and work with lots of patients. People who are super motivated and having a tremendous amount of difficulty, we could take the time to help. But there's some new technology out that allows us to help people with their auditory processing and improve their speech and noise quite a bit. And they can do it from their home on their own time, and it works really well. And so, what's even more important to know, though, is that this isn't just experience we're having. These techniques, this app has been used, or I'm sorry, has been studied by independent researchers. So not the company, but independent researchers, and their results have been placed in peer-reviewed journals, which implies a fair amount of scientific rigor. And I'll just highlight one study here. What this study found was that patients who used the app went on average from a 9.46, so let's just round up and say 9.5, a 9.5 decibel signal to noise ratio loss, here we go with that again, down to a 4.65, or we could maybe just say 4.7 dB SNR loss after using the app for some time and doing auditory training for some time using this app. That is a 4.81 improvement in signal to noise ratio loss. It's doing nothing for the ears. It's simply helping the brain process what the ears are sending there in the first place. Again, that's pretty dramatic. As I mentioned earlier, I've been doing this a long time. If we can help people 1, 2, 3 decibels of signal to noise ratio loss, we're pretty happy with that. But this is auditory training that's improving people by somewhere between 4 and 5 decibels of signal to noise ratio loss. Dramatic. Now, it's probably not a cumulative effect. It's not like we can take the hearing aids that are improving things by about 7 dB and the auditory training apps, which are improving things by 5, and we can help people by 12. It probably isn't a cumulative effect like that, but there is some combined effect for sure. When you have the hearing aids helping things at the ear level, cleaning up the signal so that then when it reaches the brain has less work to do in terms of understanding a noise. As I said earlier in the video, that's quite the 1-2 punch. So if you're wondering if this technology, both of these technologies would be helpful to you, simply give us a call, get in touch with us at one of our offices. Again, Wayne, Malvern, Westchester. We can set up an appointment. We can have a conversation, do some testing, see what makes sense for you, and hopefully help you understand better for the holidays and the winter ahead. So thank you for taking the time. I hope this was helpful. Hope to hear from you soon.